Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I'm here today with a friend, Britt Soriano. I can't even say her name right. Britt Soriano.
Soriano, yeah, that's right.
That's the one. Yeah, so she's a crazy lady living in England for some reason. She's originating from Canada. How you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. We did meet in the gym about, I don't know, a couple of hours ago, so it's the second time I've seen you today. Brilliant. Yeah, so I wanted to ask you a bit about training today, rehab, injuries and recovery and things like that.
Okay.
Before we get into that, how did you first get into training? So could you provide a bit of a background about what you
Sure.
do and how it works?
So I have been, well, all through my life, I was fairly active. I grew up dancing, so dancing, theater, and I was a professional dancer. I worked on cruise ships for years, and I hurt my back and left ships, sort of moved back home, focused on the music and things like that. And I started training, as a way to sort of fix some injuries that were happening. So I got into running. So yeah, I never do anything by half. So I decided it'd be a great idea to do like half marathons and stuff. It's sort of as a professional dancer and as growing up as sort of like a high level dancing athlete from the time I was small, you're sort of conditioned to behave in a certain way. So, everything is to the extreme. You're always trying to be absolutely the best you possibly can and you don't quit anything. So I was getting injured doing too much running. So I contacted a trainer who's actually back in Canada. Her name's Michelle. And she wrote me a program and started online coaching me. And I hated the gym. I wasn't really a huge fan. I didn't like it. Found it difficult. I didn't like the way it looked. Again, there's that dancer mentality, you know, thin, basically starved. I thought that was the ideal way to look. And I kept getting stronger and my back, I used to have terrible back pain. My pain started to go away the more I strength trained. The pain in my knees went away, the instability in my ankles went away. Everything sort of just started to slowly get better. And that wasn't doing anything rehabby impressive. That was just doing basic movements in the gym, using leg presses and rowing motions and things, just creating a stronger being, person, self. And about, I don't know, 18 months into working with her, she was a competitive bikini athlete, and she had got a pro card in Canada. And I remember it was sort of when I don't know, the way I looked at it changed for me. The way I looked at how strong physique looked, it started to look better to me because she looked so beautiful. And I said, why don't we try a show? Because I'm very goal oriented and I need really big goals to keep me sort of going. And she said, okay. So she did my very first prep, and I competed, and I came like dead last, I think. I looked terrible. I didn't have enough muscle. I was so tiny. Marty actually has a really good picture up on the South Coast, I think on the South Coast Instagram. There's a picture of my first year competing in his, and then I think the year I won my pro card, and the difference is just, it's crazy. But yeah, and I loved it. I loved competing. The first time I did it, I loved it, and I knew I'd be hooked. And I guess the way I saw those physiques changed to me, and I love being strong. I love looking athletic. There's so many things that I can do now that I couldn't do before. In terms of just everyday things, lifting, picking stuff up and down. I notice it even when I'm gigging and stuff now. I remember it used to be so heavy to carry the speakers around, and now they don't feel like anything. It's just, it has helped a lot of other things throughout, throughout my life, and the discipline and the focus. I really enjoy it. I forgot. Was there more to that question?
That's pretty much it. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes perfect sense. I kind of went into it the same way. So my brother started training at the gym and I joined him like 2 years later. I didn't really know what I was doing. So I was just doing push-ups and bicep curls, pull-ups and, jogging on the treadmill for half an hour. I didn't know what I was doing. But I got really good results really fast. And it sounds like you probably had the same sort of experience. Obviously now looking at yourself a professional female bodybuilder, you can compete in figure sort of thing. Sorry, wellness. This is completely different. So perhaps we could talk about that. So what's the difference between all these categories in female bodybuilding or physique sports?
Level of muscularity. So bikini would be the smallest category for women, and they are looking at a slightly capped shoulder. So they want to see that you have delts, not a lot of muscularity in the arms, a nice an hourglass shape, not an X frame for IFBB at least, which means that your waist comes in nice and tight, round full glutes with a slight separation between sort of your glutes and your hamstrings, toned legs, but not overly toned, and they don't want to see like a quad sweep for bikini. And obviously really good conditioning. So tight, flat, small stomach, and then beautifully presented. So wellness is the next step up. Wellness, we would be considered to have twice as much muscular density, 2 to 3 times as much muscular density, especially in the lower half of the body. So visible lines, so visible separation, but not striations in the muscle. So big quads, they like quite a big quad sweep, a nice medialis, vastus medialis coming down. They want to see the rec fem, like from the side pose, they want to see a nice curvature to the top of the top of the quads. When you turn around to the back, you're going to have much bigger glutes. They won't say a triangular shape. However, if you're looking at the pros that are winning right now, they are big. They're big triangular shape. There's a very clear line between the glute and the hamstring. The hamstrings are separated but not striated. And you're looking at delts that are significantly bigger than bikini, but still not big. And they don't want a lot of muscularity in the arms, and they want to see a little bit more definition in the midsection. So you'd probably see a heavier six pack, but they still want a small waist. So still focusing on femininity and shape, but much bigger legs, much bigger. And then from there you go to figure, which is an X frame. So that's where you're starting to want to see sort of lat, bicep, tricep, in addition to heavily muscular legs, calves. They don't really look for a lot of pectoral muscle, anything like that. Again, bigger shoulders. So you want to create like a big X on stage. And then women's physique, you're getting bigger again, more detail, harder conditioning. So the further you go up in the women's categories, you're looking at building more towards the next frame, building more muscular density, and coming in at a much tighter position. So we're starting to see things like striations and really look at dug in condition. Thinking of like top women's physiques in the UK right now, Romana Scottson is unbelievable. Her shape and the way the muscle flows and the form and everything is just absolutely stunning. And she's off to the Olympia, second pro show. So, she's phenomenal. But that's we're starting to get into the larger categories. Basically, is the breakdown.
Yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll try and put some little images or something in this video just so people can see the difference, because it all sounds like it's the same thing. But once you look at these people on stage, you say, oh, this is a figure competitor, this is a women's bikini, this is a wellness. You can see that when you start to categorize how their shapes are. I find it fascinating because you're going for a particular goal. You're trying. I know you've got really strong big thighs. I want to talk a bit about that today. So how is your training now, and has anything happened in the past which has perhaps impacted that?
So genetic, I'm going to say 100%. The way my quads come up is genetic. I don't have to do too much to them, and they kind of just get massive. I remember when I did my first bikini show, we stopped training legs 8 weeks out because they were just too big. So that's a little bit of genetics there. Hamstrings are always look like crap. My weak area. So I think I kind of like a lower volume, higher intensity style of training. And that's how I was training for probably the last 2.5, 3 years until I injured my knee last summer. And that has drastically altered the way I can train, the movements I can do. and it's not consistent. So it's a cartilage. There's some cartilage degeneration, and the original injury. There's a little bit of the patellar retinacular tendon took a bit of a hit as well. So I couldn't train really my legs much at all. So I was doing a bit of single leg training, which there's some research and studies to show that training the good side does have benefits on the side that you're unable to work on. I've used a bit of blood flow restriction training. I've lowered the weight considerably, and use a little bit, higher reps, a little bit more volume. And I'm not training to failure anymore on my legs. So I train extremely, really, really hard, but I don't train to utter, complete, and total failure. I'll be 1 rep off or 2 reps off, but it's just not safe or intelligent for me to do things like that. Or I'll use like cluster sets, build the intensity up, but back off, build it up, back off, build it up, back off. And there's some movements that work really good. My hinge movements, I can do all of those quite heavily, quite fine. Hamstring stuff, I just have to be careful with squat patterns. Can't really do much of that. I was able to today was a good day. I could do some single leg press. I can do some reverse lunges if it's supported. What else can I do? I can do hip thrust. Leg extension has been bad for the past 4 weeks. I had a little flare up, but yeah. So I'm getting by on isolations, and there's a massive atrophy in the left side, and we're waiting for surgery. So hopefully that will clear out the issues. But you kind of have to adapt and think about. I don't know. For me, I love training and I love my sport. And I want to get on stage for my pro debut. And that's really important to me. And I want to do it before the surgery, just in case, in case I can't after the surgery. So it's always going to the gym with the mindset of, I'm going to do what I can today and, try to get a good session in. And things don't always go according to plan, and it's incredibly frustrating, but I do love it. So I think, keep telling yourself how much you enjoy training, and how important it is for me to keep my leg functioning and working as best as possible, so that when I do get to a surgical point, coming out of it, the recovery will be better, and I'll still feel strong. And that's probably the most important thing to me, I think, is, strength and longevity and feeling good in myself. And I feel good in myself when I'm able to train, the way I want to train, which is a little bit heavier, but whatever. Right now, we'll go lighter. I know I'm still working.
Yeah.
I still do quite low volume, top set, back off set style training for my upper body, because that sort of scratches that itch of like just absolutely killing a muscle group, which I really like. And I know that's super weird. I know there's loads of people that look at me training in the gym and just think she's mental, but I love it. So, and it works for me. I'm sensible and I'm safe about things, but I do really love that style training. So I can kind of get a little bit of that in on the upper body, because that's fine. And then, do the more sensible, careful stuff on the lower body. I've also been using oh gosh, what's it called? It's like sort of like
electrical stimulators.
There we go. That's the one. I bought a fit one because I do sports massage therapy as well. It works for my business also, and so I've been hooking my leg up to that 3-4 times a week, just to try and keep the stimulus going, because I am finding it hard to contract certain areas of my quad because of how much it atrophied. And it's very strange that joint pain can affect how the muscle feels around it. So sometimes even tensing my leg, I get pain in my knee, which makes all the tendons and the muscles, everything is absolutely healthy around it. We've had MRIs and imaging, but it's just, the way it sits, can be, well, what this is like. It's just, that bone pain is not okay.
Yeah. What I like is you've explained really well, like, although you like to train really hard, do the low volume, high intensity kind of stuff, there's times when that might not apply. So it's almost like you've auto-regulated your own training. So what I want people to take away from this little segment is that she's still training really hard with what she can do, but she's not following an exact plan each leg session. She might have to change things up a bit, change the order. Might be that she limits her range of motion, change the time to tension, things like the reps, the sets. So there's a lot of people who can change, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, that's a very valid point, because I am a person who likes specificity and control, and I'm a looker. So this has been very hard on me, because if I have a plan that I'm supposed to follow, I want to follow that plan, and I want to do what I want to do in the order I want to do it. And if I can't do it, I get a little bit upset. So I think this has been incredibly good for me to deal with my control issues in that way, and that I have to be flexible and I have to go in. And if it's not working today, that's fine. I found a new angle on the leg extension today that didn't hurt, which was the angle that was hurting like 4 weeks ago, but now it doesn't hurt now. So I've changed it again, and you're that's 100% it. You go in and you do what you can on the day, which is why there's a lot of people who don't logbook. I don't want to bring her up again, but Romana Scotson, she stopped logbooking completely because she found it was really setting off her anxiety. So she goes in, she has a general idea of what she wants to do, and she works, ticks the boxes to use many working sets as she needs in the session, but she doesn't get married to numbers, get married to this level of strength, this exercise. If it's not feeling good on the day, she spins it and does something else. And I think that's a really good way to set up your session. Set it up in that you want to hit in a session. You want a couple of compounds, you want a couple of isolations, going to be hamstring focused. Great. And you can sort of think about your big movements that maybe you want to do a little bit heavier, and then other things to come in and around it. And it can be quite organic, a really organic experience in the gym, and just working through what you can do, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, I do like that. I mean, myself, my push and pull sort of workouts are quite generic in the way I copy and pasted my last workout to the day that I'm doing that. Then I try and match it or beat it. I beat it nearly every time. I find a way to, I'll hold the rep for longer, something like that. So I'll find a way. But with leg training, just like yourself, it is all over the place. I'll copy and paste the workout in. But I'd say maybe 50% of the time I don't copy the same, order or something. I have to change something up. Out of interest, have you tried something like wall sits after like a leg extension, where you're limiting that range of motion?
Oh, can't do that. So the angle of pressure in a wall sit makes my knee feel like it's going to explode. So can't do that. I have tried that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have tried. I do definitely do isometric holds. So I do fully straight leg isometric hold to get the muscle firing. And then I will bend my knee very slightly, and I'll hold that again for like 15 seconds, and then bend slightly, hold for 15 seconds. So while I'm trying to wake up what's not quite working on this left side, I use a lot of like tiny incremental isometric holds, and that would be, I consider that more like my rehab type work. And I use if you've heard of Spanish squats. So you band your knees to you set up a band to a post, put your legs in it, so the band is behind your knees, and then I don't do a 2-leg squat because oddly enough that hurts a lot. A single, like a reverse lunge, is really good. So it stabilizes the knee enough, and you get a little bit of resistance. That's really good. I've been working on terminal extension, which is, have you heard of those? Very similar thing. Band your leg, and you almost hyperextend it and hold, and then let it bend a little bit, and then work into terminal extension. I've done like things like walking on your tiptoes with bent knees to try to load through the patella a bit, and the tendon to give that a bit more resilience if it's feeling okay. So yeah, definitely. But wall sits are definitely no. Tried those.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, so my brother's got a similar kind of symptomology to your knee issue, but obviously his is different. He can do wall sits, but this is why I kind of explain to people, try it out, and if it doesn't work, don't try and force it. So if you find what works for you. So you found, okay, isometrics do work when I do certain movements like kind of leg extension, but not on a wall sit in that 90-degree angle. So it's very thought-provoking, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. Looking at the MRI is quite cool as well, because you can see where the defect is. And apparently there's like little chunk of what they believe is bone or cartilage that's floating about on the outside edge. It's about 5 mil in size. So it's quite big. That hurts some days. So I'm hoping for like I hope they suck that out when they go in. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the surgery because I got on a stem cell trial. So I've been accepted to a trial that's going to do a new way of sort of regenerating the cartilage using stem cells from my hip. And they've not really done this much, I don't think at all, hardly. So quite cool. The normal way is like a 50-50 shot of it working where they take healthy tissue out. They graft it, they grow new cartilage, and they put that back in. That was like the old way they're doing it. This is one surgery using stem cells. Same sort of premise, but hopefully with a better success rate. So that's what I'm having. Very excited.
That sounds cool. Yeah, you're someone honestly that deserves to have healthy joints and be able to train the way they want to train to, reach their targets. I know you want to compete on stage and compete as a pro with the best physique you can put on. So you definitely deserve to do it.
I'd like to get on a pro stage. I'd like to, do well in pro shows, one day. If I'm not, I don't need to go to the Olympia or anything. I have absolutely no illusions that I will never make it there. I just don't have, I don't have the genetics, nor do I have the willingness to take the level of PEDs to get me there. So I will do what I can in this semi-natural form because this is what I have what I'm willing to do and what I'm not willing to do. And I will present the very best physique I possibly can, staying in healthy ranges, and then, get on that stage because I love bodybuilding. I love everything about it. And if I can't be an athlete, I'd probably like to be a judge at some point. But right now the goal is to compete, get out there. It took me so long to get my card. I want to use it.
How long did it take you, Britt, to earn your pro card?
6 years.
6 years. Okay.
Yeah.
It's taken me, can take me a lot longer than that.
Well, or maybe not. Some people turn pro right away. Some people turn pro, takes them a lot longer. I think I turned pro on my 13th show, I think. Yeah, I think my 13th show. I was talking to one girl, bikini girl, 28 shows she did before she got her pro card. Some people get it in one, but I don't really think that should be the goal of an amateur athlete. I think an amateur athlete should, there's so many people who've never stepped on stage. They're doing blogs on Road to Pro. And I'm like, you've not even, you've not won a regional. You've not won an overall. You've not won, a pro qualifier. You've not won like a British finals. Like you've not hit any of these other steps, but you're Road to Pro. Great. Or Road to the Olympia. You don't even have a pro card yet. I'm just thinking this is the absolute madness. People don't look at things in, small, achievable. It's great to have dreams of one day, but, small, achievable goals step by step. I just want to get on the stage. I don't care where I place. I just want to stand up there and, feel my best, with my best physique that I presented to date. That would be that's the ultimate goal, is always just beat myself where I was last time.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm kind of the same. I don't have any sort of grandiose ideas or illusions that I'm going to be a pro and win the Olympia sort of thing, but I think I could, if I could train to my capacity, I could become a pro. I think that's quite possible. But like I said, I don't know whether it will take me another 10 shows or 20, I don't know. But you just have to take each step as it comes. And like for a short-term goal for me, I want to compete in my next show and just not be in pain. Just be able to pose, hop on poses, and not like stand there shaking my knees thinking like, oh God, my hip's going to pop out, my back's going to sort of crunch over, So
yeah, am I going to pass out? And that's an amazing goal. I think that's, you just want to do the shows. You just want to get on stage, enjoy yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't need to be a winning a pro card or winning an overall. It doesn't need to be the goal. I mean, it's a hard slog getting to the stage, anywhere from 12 to 24 weeks to dieting, depending on what you're doing. it's the whole process that is the magical part, I think, in bodybuilding from the start to the
I
beginning.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. For me, it's like say I'm 10 weeks out, I'm about to start a diet phase. Okay. Every week, I'm sort of looking at myself in the mirror thinking, not too bad. Then it becomes every day. Then every few hours, you're sort of like waiting. It's like waiting for Christmas to come.
Yeah.
And anticipation of how much better you'll look with each diet you change, your training manipulation, and, manipulation of your different recovery techniques and things like that. You start to see a result. And that's what I think kind of drives me, at least, for competing. Or would you say you're quite similar?
Yeah, 100%. I like to see the results. I hate the first few weeks of dieting because I'm quite a slow responder. So I never see immediate changes right away and I get really frustrated. But I love the end stages, and how just the slightest thing can completely affect a physique. I think I got very, very lean last time. I think I was my best condition. I was really, really proud. I couldn't sit down. It hurt. I couldn't sit on anything. I had like a sitting cushion I used to bring places with me. But I remember going to see a proper a lymphatic drainage specialist, and Jesus, it was the most incredible transformation. She saw me on the Wednesday. I checked in the next day. I think I was something ridiculous, like 4 pounds lighter, and I looked shrink wrapped. And she loved it because she said that, she treats people with serious lymphatic diseases, very overweight or proper disease. And she said it was absolutely crazy to treat a healthy body with those massage techniques and see how it works on a like a healthy body. So that was really cool. That was like an overnight change that I looked like a completely different person. That was nifty, and I love stuff like that.
Yeah, we're always searching for that extra 1%. I remember you posted something, I think it was on Instagram, of like a before and after where someone, was it yourself or someone else, did lymphatic drainage? And I was like, well, that was it after one. I was really quite shocked.
That was it. That was in peak week.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the one. Yeah. That was me. That was, and those, I don't edit my photos or anything. That was literally morning of, then the next day. Oh, and did I sleep all that night? Yeah, it was absolutely the craziest thing ever. The trick is with lymphatic drainage to go to someone who actually knows what they're doing, because the amount of pressure needed is minimal. So it's not really going to feel like you're getting much of a massage, because your lymph nodes are they're very fine. So if you press too hard, it crushes them, so it doesn't do anything. So if you go for like a massage, that's not lymphatic drainage. Lymphatic drainage is like this really soft touch. I don't know. I slept through most of it. It was amazing, which is what you need. So you're so tired. But yeah, it was really, really fascinating, and I've watched a few videos since then about how to do some of it. It's very, very fascinating stuff.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to get killed if I don't ask you this question. So, what is your current training like? So, on a sample day, say it's a leg day, you can go into other days as well if you want. And what would you do, assuming you're having a good day, your knees aren't giving you grief?
We're looking at sort of 12, somewhere between 12 and 16 working sets. So I tend to do a lot of warming up within the movement. So, 3, 4, 5 warm up sets, say on a hamstring curl, and then my set. So like a sort of an 8 to 10 range and a 12 to 14 range, and then maybe some sort of an amplifier, like little like rounds of clusters, just to, flush blood into the muscle. So, I train mostly hamstrings right now. So lots of hinging. I pick 2 big movements, RDLs. I do lying and seated hamstring curl. I do straight leg deadlifts. I do some like belt pulls. A lot of hinging. See, hip thrusts, like loads of glute kicks. So many glute kickbacks, and I was never much one for that before this. But seeing as how it's one of the only things I can do, I am doing them. So my leg days take about 2 hours because I'm faffy. I could do all
Probably more particular though. You're more particular though, Brett. You got to get it right if you're going to do
it. Yeah. So that's sort of how I break it up. I've got, I go from isolations, a couple of isolations to warm up, a compound, an isolation, a compound, And then if I some extra stuff at the end, a bit of calves if I remember. Upper, and I train like 3 days a week. So that's 3 times a week, and I train upper once a week right now. With every other week, I add shoulders on to the end of a glute session. So upper is much more structured. 12 working sets. I've got 4 sets on back and the rest on shoulders. Again, don't need back. I just need to maintain what I have. I just need more cap shoulder, so I just don't train it. Other than just to keep it ticking. And oddly enough, I'm getting ridiculously strong. So training upper less, I'm actually increasing in strength a lot faster, which is interesting. Because my legs seem to want to be the other way. They seem to need more stimulation more often. I think that might be specific to individuals or people. I'm not really sure, but yeah. And I kind of have it structured so that I have like one really quite intense heavy leg day. Then the next one will be a little bit lighter. Then the next one will be lighter still. And then it kind of rotates around. And then every 2 weeks on a Sunday, I just train glutes and shoulders, which is almost like a break. So I'm not killing myself. So I sort of built in a recovery pattern in how intense each session is and also with rest days. So I don't train on Monday, Thursday, or Saturdays. I only train 4 days a week.
Oh, like me then. Yeah, I'm interested in kind of splitting up your workouts as much as possible, because especially when you train really hard, I've noticed I can never put 100% into 2 workouts in a row. I can do it, but I don't progress as well. So like you said earlier about, I think your upper is becoming stronger quicker because you're giving it sufficient rest. That kind of tells me whatever you're doing in that one upper session is pretty badass, because if you need 7 days or something to recover from it, yeah, it's obviously giving you that stimulus. So,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So week 1, I train upper on a Tuesday, and then legs on Wednesday, rest Thursday, legs Friday, rest Saturday, legs Sunday. And then week 2, I think it goes again, but the Sunday ends up being a shoulder glute, and then it swaps. So I could do an upper on a legs on a Tuesday, upper on a Wednesday. It's how I it. So it's when I need 3 days recovery from certain leg days, if that makes sense. So my heaviest leg day will have which is the first Sunday. I'll have Monday and Tuesday off before I go back in again on the Wednesday. And that Sunday is the hardest session I do. And then so the Wednesday will be a bit less because I only have Thursday to Friday. And then the Saturday is nothing. And then the Sunday will be glutes. And then I start the lower range, and then I go back up to the high range again for the other week. So I kind of rotate. I'm on a 2 week rotation basically. The 1 week is really heavier, the 1 week is less, and then it starts again. So and with I haven't needed to take like massive amounts of time off, because about every 6 weeks I take 3 days in a row or I deload, but I haven't needed to do as many deloads as I used to have to. I used to have to properly deload like every 4 to 6 weeks, and now I'm not really doing that because I've undulated. I've sort of altered my rep ranges and my sessions to take in account that I know that I can only do maybe 12 days on a trot of doing heavy legs, and then I need to back off a bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess what you're kind of following is a bit like maybe like a pro split, with preference specificity towards what your goals are, with a bit more volume, because you're adding more volume because you can't quite reach that intensity with your leg or knee being the way it is. So it kind of makes sense.
That's exactly it. I can't train super heavy, so I break it up and put it in more often, but still to allow for a recovery. And how I train, I try to instill it in my clients, but every program is different for every person. I have 2 clients who want to train together. They ask for the same program. I said, I can't do it. You're completely different. If you both want to progress, you've got weaknesses here, you've got weaknesses here, and it's got to be this way. You can be in the gym at the same time together and meet up on the exercises that are the same. Yeah, everyone's going to do some hamstring curls, but at the same time, I don't want you following the exact same program, because you different people. It makes absolutely no sense, especially if you're competing. Beginner exercises, you can kind of, so you got a little bit of leeway, but then I like to take it into consideration mobility, existing injuries. When I get a new client, I take a proper look at them, see where they're deficient. Someone's got a sore shoulder, oh, I always feel weak on this side. No, great. Have a look at their shoulder and find that the back musculature doesn't work properly. The rhomboids are out, or their mid trap is underdeveloped, so they've got no stabilization, so that rolls forward, gives them pain here. So I have to focus on rehab first, bring that into fix that, and then keep everything else in. So everyone's different, and everyone
Yeah.
requires things. And some of my rehab
Well, like,
that I've put in
yeah.
have actually brought my physique up. Details, smaller muscle groups are starting to pop through, and that's simply just rehabilitation stuff.
Yeah, I get that a lot of people, especially with like back training, because you can't see it. People don't realize like how to work the back muscle properly. It's all good you seeing someone do the movement, but you have to actually activate the muscle groups. That's very tricky as someone that's completely new. So I think if you're coaching, say, 2 people at a time, it's going to be a hard task unless they're, so on it. You have to be so intricate and detailed with what they're trying to achieve for their body. Yeah, I'm the same. I mean, I've got a guy that I coach for a bodybuilding competition. He's competing in November, and he trains 3 times per week, and he does 6 total sets per workout. So that's all he does. Then myself, I do 6 to 10 sets 4 times per week. I know another guy who trains twice a week, and he does about 4 sets per session. Then I know people that are doing 150 sets per week. But the thing is, they need, like you said earlier about the deloads, they need to do deloads because they're not auto-regulating the training. They're just destroying themselves. I'm tired now. I can't eat anything, can't keep up with the food intake. Then they end up having to take a step back. So your sort of approach seems to be similar to mine, as in just do what's needed to do, taper it in between workouts, in between sessions even, and see how that goes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm looking forward to hopefully getting back into something a bit more structured and a bit more measurable. But right now, this seems to be working, and I'm enjoying it. So hopefully we'll see a bit of an improvement in my physique from my pro win to my pro debut. That'll be very nice. I know I put size on my glutes, so that's exciting. And then it's just a case of hiding the shitty leg. Sorry. For hiding the bad leg when I'm on stage so no one can see it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think we've all got like a lopsided kind of body in some way. Like I can't do a quarter turn to the right in a way that looks the same as the left. I just can't rotate that way. But with your kind of category, do you think there's much you can change in terms of like your posing, like the way you showcase yourself?
Yeah, tons. So I worked with a posing coach, Lou Del Juice, who's posing for stage. I worked with her for a bit on Saturday, and we've changed my back pose, and we've managed to make it appear like my left leg is at the same size as my right leg, and that's just where I place my foot and how I rotate the leg to make the quad appear from the side using my hands to push. It's just little teeny tiny. So when I look down at the floor, I'm not like 2 feet standing in a back pose. I'm like off kilter, 1 foot well behind the other to make it appear bigger to the judges, turned out to make the quad look like it's sleeping. So I look super weird. If I look straight down at my feet, they're like this. But we managed to get it looking semi-even. So I know the glutes are about the same size. I've not had a lot of atrophy in the glute because I've been able to trick that. So I can hide it from the side. I can hide it from our front pose because we're 1 leg forward, 1 leg back in the front pose. So hoping I can kind of hide it there. It's going to be the side pose where I'm caught out. So there's no way to hide it from the side. Then my left leg is smaller than my right, and the left is the first turn they see, unfortunately. So yeah, they'll see my.
Just hope they all blink at once.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. They say wellness is one from the back. 50% of the judges' score is going to be the back pose. So if I can just, somehow make it through that 1 quarter, and then my other quarter is fine because the right leg looks great. So, but my rotation on the right side has always been crap. So I got to really practice what used to be my bad leg. Same thing with my front pose. I've had to switch legs. So that's fun. But the art of posing, it's such an important thing. It can create completely different illusion to what my physique looks like or what a physique looks like. And if it gets me, you know, semi up there, I'm doing it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. So with all that being said, what are your goals for maybe the short and long term? Maybe like in training and bodybuilding?
Yeah, short term. I got a show November 19th in Florida. So that's my pro debut. So that is focus number one. Focus number two is to come out of that as uninjured as possible and to maintain a really good level of condition heading into surgery. So I've got my surgery consults on the 8th of January, and I should see surgery probably February time. So I kind of want to keep a low body fat composition into surgery so that recovery is a bit easier, and then look to be the star rehab pupil. I'm going to beat everyone at rehab. That's my goal. I want to be the best on the study at rehabbing my knee, and look to see what I can do. It's back of my head. I'd love to be able to get back up on stage again after surgery. I mean, that would be the absolute dream. Or at least, make sure that I make myself as strong as I possibly can coming out of it, and then continue to work on my physique in a more recreational way. That's fine. But those are my sort of like short-term goals. And then really start to work on my judging and start practicing that, because I think that's a really good sort of way to stay within the bodybuilding community, but not actually compete.
Yeah, I think a lot of people end up doing that. But I just hope your career goes the way it's meant to go with bodybuilding, and hopefully it all turns out well, and you can just train. You think, I've actually done quite well in this show. I'm not far off beating the next girl, so I'm going to do another one.
So yeah, that'd be nice.
Brilliant. Well, with all that being said, where can people find you if you want to be found?
Oh, I'm on Instagram. I think I don't even know my own Instagram name. Hold, please.
You got two, I think.
Yeah, I have two. It's Britters27 IFBB Pro is my Instagram. The other one's just like my work account for like my sports therapy and my personal training. So yeah, you can find me on Instagram. I do some updates and stuff. I don't put a ton of physique updates and things on there just because I just think it's, for me personally, I just think it's, I don't know, it seems to me to be tacky. So I'm not going to be putting my, every week I'm not going to be putting a physique update up because it's not for Instagram, it's for me. So I might post some check-ins as we get closer to the show if it has anything to do with what we're doing. Like the posing post that I put up the other day was for a specific reason. It's not just a, hey, look at me. It's I look at what posing really does for you, a good posing coach, how you can change your physique completely and create an illusion to help you in a show. That's a useful post. That's not just me rocking around in a bikini on Instagram. So most of my videos are like training based or feature clients or things like that. So it's a little bit more technical, try to be more informative, informational, educational than I do sensational.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I think that you kind of show something when you know you've got something to show. When something new's happened with your body, like, oh, I've changed my pose. Now it looks better. Oh, now I'm actually leaner than my last show. Here's the difference. This is what I did to achieve that. I find that helpful. Gives people a rough idea of how to apply themselves, I think, as well.
Yeah, exactly. Things like that. Oh, my camera. Thanks.
There we go. Well, that's everything for today. Thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate your time.